Welcome to This is Thailand. I'm your host, and tonight's story is about Clyde, a 61-year-old baker from Portland, Oregon, who came to Chiang Mai looking for a fresh start after losing nearly everything back home. What he found was warmth, connection, a woman who seemed different from all the warnings he'd read online, and her family who welcomed him like one of their own. But somewhere between the village visits and the cousin who made him feel young again, Clyde stopped seeing the recipe unfolding around him. This one's going to stay with you. Here's his story, in his own words. My name's Clyde, and for 35 years, I was a baker. Not just any baker, I ran an artisan bakery in Portland's Alberta Arts District. You know the kind, organic sourdough, hand-laminated croissants, everything made the slow way, the right way. People came in not just for the bread, but because they knew me. I knew their orders. Thursdays at 7, Mrs. Chin wanted her olive rosemary loaf. Saturdays, the Johnston family grabbed 3 cinnamon rolls and a baguette. That was my life. That was my marriage, if I'm being honest. I never had time for relationships, never made them a priority. I always figured someday I'd meet someone, but someday kept getting pushed back by another 4 a.m. start, another batch that needed attention, another repair on the oven. The bakery wasn't just what I did, it was who I was. And I was good at it. In Portland, especially in those days before everything got crazy expensive, there was this whole ethos around craft food. Heritage grains, natural fermentation, knowing your suppliers, supporting local farms. I lived that. The bakery wasn't making me rich, but I was building something real, something that mattered. By the time I hit my mid-50s, I had about $180,000 saved up. Not bad for a small business owner, not enough to retire in Portland, but a decent cushion. That's when I met Derek. He had a booth at the Saturday farmers market selling artisanal honey. We'd chat, talk about the rising costs in Portland, the changing neighborhood, how hard it was getting for small businesses. Nice guy, been around for years. When he mentioned he'd started doing some financial advising on the side, helping folks like us plan for retirement, I didn't think twice about it. This wasn't some stranger in a suit. This was Derek from the farmers market. He pitched me on what he called a ground floor opportunity, a tech startup, pre-IPO, based in Silicon Valley. The company was developing some kind of supply chain software, and Derek said he had an inside connection. Clyde, he told me over coffee one morning, Portland's getting too expensive for guys like us. In 5 years, you won't be able to afford to live here even if you wanted to. This investment could set you up for a real retirement, not just scraping by. I trusted him. That's the thing about me, I've always trusted people. In the bakery business, you have to. You trust your suppliers to deliver quality flour. You trust your customers to pay their tabs. You trust the process, mix the ingredients right, give the dough time, and it rises. That's how the world worked for me. So I gave Derek $80,000, nearly everything I had. 6 months later, the company collapsed. Not fraud, they said, just market conditions. The software wasn't ready, the funding dried up. Derek stopped answering my calls. When I finally tracked him down at the farmer's market, he looked genuinely sad about it, said he lost money too, said these things happen in startups. But his money wasn't his entire life savings. I was 59 years old with about $22,000 left after the dust settled. I still had the bakery, still had my small pension that would kick in at 60, but something in me broke. I couldn't walk into that bakery anymore without thinking about what I'd lost, what I'd been stupid enough to give away. Every morning at 4 a.m., pulling sourdough starter from the fridge, I felt like an idiot. The neighborhood had changed, 2 more condos going up, rents doubling, young tech workers everywhere ordering their bread on apps. The Portland I'd known was disappearing. I sold the bakery 6 months after my 60th birthday. Got a decent price for it, but after paying off the equipment loans and settling some debts, I cleared about $20,000. Combined with what I had left, I had roughly $42,000 total and a pension of $1,400 a month. In Portland, that was nothing. Studios were going for $1,800 a month. A decent 1-bedroom was $2,200 or more. Even if I found something cheaper, I'd burn through my savings just existing. For the first time in 35 years, I wasn't a baker. I was just nobody. Some 60-year-old guy with no career, no wife, no kids, no real plan. I'd wake up in my apartment, which I could barely afford, and have nowhere to be, no dough waiting for me. No customers expecting me, just silence and the growing panic about what the hell came next. That's when Sierra changed everything. She was a regular at the bakery, a yoga instructor in her 40s who spent winters in Chiang Mai teaching at a studio there. She'd always talked about Thailand, but I'd never paid much attention. After I sold the bakery, she came by my apartment with some bread from the new owners, never as good as mine, she said, trying to cheer me up. And she told me something I'll never forget. Clyde, you could actually live in Chiang Mai on what you have. It's like Portland was 20 years ago. Creative people, artists, expats reinventing themselves. The community's real. And your pension alone would cover a decent life there. I laughed at first. Thailand? I'd never even been to Asia. But Sierra was persistent. She showed me photos on her phone, mountains, temples, night markets full of handmade crafts and street food, smiling people. She talked about the expat community, writers, teachers, retired folks, digital nomads. It's not about running away, she said. It's about finding a place where you can actually afford to breathe again. That night, I started watching YouTube videos about retiring in Thailand. I went down a rabbit hole. There were channels dedicated to expats living there, breaking down costs, showing apartments, explaining visas. The math was simple. I could rent a studio in Chiang Mai for $300 to $400 a month. Food was cheap, $3 for pad thai, $5 for a full meal at a decent restaurant. My $1,400 pension could cover my life, and my $42,000 in savings could stretch for years if I was careful. But the forums also scared me. There were these bitter men, always men, warning about Thai women, bar girls, scams. The sick buffalo story where your girlfriend's family buffalo gets sick and needs expensive medicine. Except there's no buffalo. Women with 3 foreign boyfriends all sending money. Marriage visa scams. I read it all. And I'll be honest, it made me paranoid. But there were success stories too. Guys who'd found genuine relationships, built good lives, retired happily. I told myself I'd be different. I wasn't going to Thailand to find a girlfriend. I was going to find some peace. Maybe take a Thai cooking class, figure out what the next chapter of my life looked like. I'd keep to myself, be careful, not be one of those desperate old guys the forums talked about. I booked a ticket to Chiang Mai with a 60-day tourist visa. I was 61 years old, carrying $42,000 in my U.S. bank account and absolutely terrified. But Portland had nothing left for me. At least in Thailand, I could afford to exist while I figured things out. That was the plan, anyway. The flight to Chiang Mai was brutal. 22 hours with layovers in San Francisco and Bangkok. I'm not a great flyer to begin with, and sitting in economy at 61 with my knees jammed against the seat in front of me didn't help. But when we started descending into Chiang Mai, I looked out the window and saw mountains, green everywhere, temples with golden spires catching the morning light. Something in my chest loosened a little. Maybe this wasn't crazy. Maybe this could work. Immigration was easier than I expected. The officer stamped my passport without questions. 60 days approved. I grabbed my suitcase, everything I owned that mattered fit in one bag, and walked out into Thailand. The heat hit me like opening an oven door. It was early April, the hottest time of year, and even at 8 in the morning it must have been 90 degrees with humidity that made my shirt stick to my back immediately. The airport was small, nothing like Portland's, and outside was chaos. Taxi drivers yelling, tuk-tuks honking, the smell of exhaust mixed with something sweet I couldn't identify. I stood there sweating, disoriented, wondering what the hell I'd done. A taxi driver approached me, older guy, smiling. "Where you go?" I showed him the address of my Airbnb near Nimmenhamen Road. He nodded, quoted me 150 baht. I had no idea if that was fair, but it was about $5, so I got in. The drive into the city was sensory overload. Motorbikes everywhere, whole families on single bikes. Dad driving, mom behind him, kids squeezed in the middle. Street vendors selling food I didn't recognize. 7-Elevens on every corner. Temple walls painted brilliant white and gold. The driver didn't speak much English, but he kept smiling at me in the rearview mirror, saying, "Welcome, welcome." My Airbnb was in a quiet swai off Nimmenhamen, 3rd floor of a building with no elevator. The studio was small, maybe 300 square feet, but clean. Air conditioning unit, small fridge, hot plate, bathroom with a handheld shower. The window looked out at another building. For $380 a month, it was less than I'd pay for a week in Portland. I dropped my suitcase, turned on the AC, and lay on the bed fully clothed, exhausted. That first week was hard. The heat was relentless. The language barrier was worse than I expected. I couldn't read signs, couldn't understand tones when people spoke. I got lost constantly, even though the city wasn't that big. I'd walk to a 7-Eleven to buy water and somehow take a wrong turn on the way back. End up wandering for an hour trying to find my building. Everything felt foreign and overwhelming. But there was also kindness everywhere. When I butchered my Thai trying to order food, Khao Pad Gai, which I pronounced completely wrong, street vendors would smile and nod and bring me fried rice with chicken anyway. A tuk-tuk driver returned my phone after I left it in his vehicle, drove around until he found me again. An old woman at a fruit stand spent 10 minutes teaching me how to say mango correctly, laughing at my attempts but not meanly. The food was incredible. I'd eat pad thai for 40 baht, less than $2. Some tan that was so spicy it made my eyes water, but I kept eating it anyway. Khao swa, this curry noodle soup I'd never heard of, that became my favorite thing. I'd sit at plastic tables on the sidewalk, sweating through my shirt, eating food that cost nothing and tasted better than anything in Portland. By week 3, I'd settled into a routine. Morning walks when it was cooler. Breakfast at a small cafe where the owner, a Thai woman in her 50s, started recognizing me and would have my coffee ready. I'd spend midday in air-conditioned coffee shops, reading, watching people, trying to learn basic Thai from an app on my phone. Evenings, I'd walk through the old city, visit temples, watch the sunset from the walls of the moat. I was spending about $1,200 a month, total rent, food, transport, everything. Well under my pension, my savings sat untouched in my U.S. account. For the first time since selling the bakery, I felt like I could breathe. Not happy exactly, but not drowning either. Just existing, figuring things out. Maybe that was enough. On my third Sunday in Chiang Mai, I walked to the weekly street market that runs through the old city. Sierra had told me about it. Vendor stalls stretching for blocks, handicrafts, and street food and traditional textiles. The market was packed, mostly tourists but also locals. I wandered through, no destination in mind, just taking it all in. The smell of grilled meat and sticky rice. The sound of vendors calling out, people laughing, kids running between stalls. That's when I saw the textile stall. Beautiful hand-woven fabrics in natural colors, deep indigos, rust reds, soft browns. The kind of stuff you'd see in Portland at the artisan markets, except these were authentic, traditional, made by actual weavers in villages I'd never heard of. I stopped to look, running my hand over the fabric. The weave was tight, professional work. You like natural dye? The woman's voice, Thai accent but clear English. I looked up. She was maybe late 30s, Thai, with a warm smile and sun-weathered hands. Wearing a simple cotton dress, her hair pulled back. She had this genuine quality about her, nothing polished or performative. Just real. Yeah, I do, I said. I used to run a bakery, and we were really into the whole organic, traditional process thing. This reminds me of that. Her smile widened. Same. Traditional way is best way. My family makes silk in Isan, my village. We use only natural color indigo, turmeric, mud from the river. We talked for 20 minutes. Her name was Porn, but everyone called her Mim. She told me about her village, about the silk weaving traditions that had been in her family for generations, how she'd worked in Bangkok for years at a hotel, saved money, then came to Chiang Mai to be closer to her aging parents and help sell their textiles. She asked about Portland, about my bakery, seemed genuinely interested. What struck me, I know how this sounds. I know what you're thinking was that she wasn't asking for anything. She wasn't flirting. She was just talking to me like a person. When I asked about a specific fabric, she told me honestly it wasn't her best work, showed me a better one instead. When I mentioned I was hungry, she didn't see an opportunity. She just said, "Oh, you must try some tam," and pointed to a nearby stall. "Come, I show you a good one," she said. We walked to the some tam stall together. She ordered in rapid Thai, then turned to me. "You like spicy?" "I'm still learning," I admitted. She laughed and told the vendor something that made them both smile. The samtan that arrived was flavorful, but not torture-level spicy. We sat on plastic stools, eating papaya salad, and she told me about her daughter who was studying business at Chiang Mai University, showed me photos on her phone, pretty girl, early 20s, wearing a university uniform. The pride in Mim's voice was unmistakable. When we finished eating, Mim reached for the bill. I tried to pay, but she shook her head. No, you are a guest in Thailand. You are my friend now." That hit me harder than it should have. Friend. When was the last time someone had called me that? We exchanged line contacts before I left. She said if I had questions about Chiang Mai or wanted to learn Thai cooking, I should message her. No pressure, no expectations, just an offer. Walking back to my apartment that evening, the sun setting behind Doi Suthep Mountain, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not happiness exactly, but possibility. Like maybe starting over wasn't about finding big answers. Maybe it was just about being open to small moments. A conversation at a market, a shared meal, someone calling you their friend. I told myself to be careful. I'd read the forums. I knew the warnings. But Mim didn't work in a bar. She wasn't asking for money. She had her own life, her own business, her daughter. She seemed like just a person, someone genuine in a way that felt rare. Looking back now, I can see how perfectly it was all designed. But in that moment, standing in my small studio, looking out at the lights of Chiang Mai, I just felt grateful. Thailand was giving me exactly what I needed, a place to breathe, a chance to be someone other than the guy who'd lost everything. I had no idea I was walking straight into another loss, a much bigger one, but that would come later. For now, I had a friend. And that felt like enough. Mim and I started meeting regularly, nothing intense at first, just coffee or walks around the city. She'd message me online, "You free today? Want to see temple?" And I'd say yes. We'd meet at a cafe near my place, or she'd pick me up on her motorbike, me riding behind her through traffic like every other Farang in Chiang Mai trying not to die. She took me to Doi Suthep one afternoon, the temple on the mountain overlooking the city. We climbed the 306 steps together, her laughing at how out of breath I got halfway up. At the top, the golden chetty gleamed in the sun, monks chanting, the smell of incense heavy in the air. The view stretched for miles, the whole city below us, green mountains in every direction. Beautiful, yes? Mem said. Yeah, I said, really beautiful. She told me she came here sometimes when the textile sales were slow, to make merit, to pray for her daughter's success in university. She talked about her parents getting older, how hard it was to keep traditional crafts alive when young people wanted to move to Bangkok, work in air-conditioned offices, make real money. Real problems, not performances. We started having cooking lessons at her apartment off Wai Kau Road. Small place, 1 bedroom, modest but clean. Photos of her daughter everywhere in school uniform, at graduation, with friends. A small shrine in the corner with Buddha images and offerings. She taught me to make pad kra pao, laughing when I put in too much chili. Showed me how to pound somtam in a mortar, the right rhythm, the balance of sour and spicy and sweet. You very patient, she said one evening, watching me struggle with the pestle. Like bread making, yes? Take time, cannot rush. That's exactly what it was like. She understood the process, the patience required. In Portland, I'd spent hours waiting for dough to rise, for croissant lamination to rest between folds. Min got that. She'd learned from her grandmother, the traditional way, the slow way. What struck me most, and I kept coming back to this, kept using it to quiet the paranoid voice in my head, was that she never asked for money. Sometimes she insisted on paying when we grabbed street food. No, today is my turn, she'd say, already handing baht to the vendor. We'd split a bottle of Singha at a bar, and she'd pay for the next round before I could object. She had her own life, her textile stall at the weekend market, her parents in the village, her daughter's education to support. She wasn't hanging around bars waiting for foreign men. She worked, she had goals. When she talked about maybe expanding the textile business, maybe opening a small shop instead of just doing markets, there was real ambition there, real dreams. The forums I'd read late at night back in Portland, they were about a different kind of woman. Bar girls. Women with 3 boyfriends sending money. The sick buffalo scam. But Mim wasn't that. I knew the difference. I wasn't some naive tourist who just arrived. I'd been here 6 weeks now. I was learning. After about 6 weeks of hanging out, things shifted. We were at her apartment, cooking together, drinking Leo beer, and she kissed me. Just leaned over while I was chopping garlic and kissed me. Gentle dot testing. I kissed her back. We slept together that night. In her bed with her daughter's photos watching from the dresser, which should have felt weird but didn't. It felt genuine, tender. She wasn't performing, neither was I. Just 2 lonely people who'd found something in each other. You good man, Clyde, she said afterward, her head on my chest. You have good heart. I wanted to believe that. I'd been feeling like a failure for so long, the bad investment, selling the bakery, running away to Thailand. But with Mim, I felt like maybe I was still worth something, still capable of being loved. We fell into a rhythm after that. I'd stay at her place a few nights a week. She'd cook, I'd help. We watched Thai soap operas with English subtitles. She taught me more Thai, not just food words, but practical stuff. How to bargain at markets, how to ask for directions. My pronunciation was terrible, all the tones wrong, and she'd laugh but not meanly, patient. Like I was sourdough that just needed more time. About 2 months in, I noticed she seemed stressed, distracted. When I asked, she was embarrassed. Nothing, she said. Just my daughter. University fees coming due. Textile sales been slow this month. She showed me the numbers on her phone. The university bill, 18,000 baht for the semester. About 800. Her textile sales for the month, less than half that. I figure it out, she said quickly. Always do. Maybe I sell some of my good pieces, the silk scarves. Or maybe I ask university for extension. I could see how hard it was for her to even mention it. This wasn't a request. She was just explaining why she seemed worried. Let me help, I said. She looked up, surprised. No, cannot ask you. You're not asking, I'm offering. It's 800. That's nothing. Let me do this. Clyde, her eyes were watering. You sure? I'm sure. Your daughter's education matters. I want to help. She cried. Actually cried. Threw her arms around me and cried into my shoulder, thanking me over and over. You so kind, so kind. I pay you back when sales better. Don't worry about it, I said. What's 800 between friends? The next day, I transferred 18,000 baht from my Bangkok bank account to hers. Watched the number drop from about 38,000 to 37,200 total savings. Not even a dent. My pension covered my living expenses. This was helping someone I cared about, someone who'd been there for me when I'd needed a friend. That evening, she came to my apartment with a silk scarf. Beautiful work. Deep indigo. Traditional pattern. For you, she said. Cannot give money back yet, but I want you to have this. My grandmother make it. Very special. I was touched. Genuinely touched. This wasn't some cheap tourist scarf. This was from her family, from her village, from her grandmother's hands. "Thank you," I said. She hugged me tight. "You understand Thai way. Family help family. You part of my family now." Family. That word again. I hadn't had family in so long. The bakery had been my family, but that was gone. My parents were dead. No siblings, no kids, just me. And now, maybe, I had this, Mim, her daughter. The promise of belonging to something again. Looking back, I should have seen it. Should have recognized the pattern. The stress that appeared exactly when I was most invested emotionally. The specific amount that was significant but not crazy. The tears. The gift that made me feel valued, made me feel like this was about more than money. But I didn't see it. I didn't want to see it. I'd spent my whole life trusting the process. Mix the right ingredients, give it time, it rises. That's how bread works. That's how I thought people worked too. I told myself this was different, she was different, we were different. I was building something again, not a bakery, but a life, a family, a future. The 800 felt good. It felt like being needed, like being valuable. Like maybe my money could buy me something real this time, not a failed tech startup, but actual human connection. That night, lying in bed, I did the math in my head. I had $37,200 left in savings plus my $1,400 monthly pension. I was spending about $1,200 a month. Even with the $800 I'd given Mim, I was fine. More than fine. I could afford to be generous. I could afford to be the man who helped the woman he cared about. What I didn't know, what I couldn't see yet, was that this was just the first payment, the first ingredient in a recipe I didn't recognize. But I was in now. Emotionally, financially, completely. And the next time she needed help, I'd say yes again. Because that's what family does. That's what trust looks like. Or at least, that's what I thought. About a month later, Mim asked if I wanted to come to her village for Songkran, the Thai New Year water festival in mid-April. "My family wants to meet you," she said. "They're curious about the fairing who's been making me smile." I was nervous. Meeting the family felt serious, like crossing some kind of line. But I was also excited. This was real. This was what people in actual relationships did. The bus ride from Chiang Mai to her village took 6 hours through increasingly rural Thailand. We left the mountains behind, descended into flat rice paddies that stretched to the horizon, water buffalo standing in flooded fields, wooden houses on stilts, temple spires catching the sun. The further we got from Chiang Mai, the more I felt like I was entering a different world entirely. Mim's village was small, maybe a few hundred people. Unpaved roads, chickens and dogs wandering freely, kids playing in the dirt. Her family's house was modest, weathered wood walls, corrugated metal roof, raised on stilts about 6 feet off the ground. A motorcycle was parked underneath in the shade. Broken, I'd learn later. That motorcycle. Her parents came out to greet us. Her father was maybe mid-70s, thin, weathered skin, missing a few teeth. Her mother was late 60s, round-faced, constantly smiling despite the language barrier. They waved me that Thai gesture of respect, hands pressed together, and I tried to wave back correctly, which made them laugh. "Farang Chai Di," her mother kept saying. "Good foreign man." At least that's what Mim translated it as. Inside, the house was simple. Wood floors, minimal furniture, a small kitchen area in the back. Buddhist shrine in the corner with offerings of fruit and incense. Photos everywhere. Mim as a child, her daughter at various ages, family portraits. An oscillating fan fought a losing battle against the heat. Within an hour, the whole extended family arrived. Mim's brother, early 40s, quiet guy who worked as a motorcycle taxi driver, aunts, uncles, cousins I couldn't keep track of, neighbors who just seemed to be part of things. The grandmother, ancient, maybe 90, barely any teeth, sat in a corner grinning at me like I was the most entertaining thing she'd seen in years. They treated me like visiting royalty. The grandmother kept filling my plate with food, sticky rice, grilled chicken, some tam, things I didn't recognize but ate anyway because refusing felt rude. Everyone wanted to touch my arm hair, which apparently was fascinating. The kids stared at me openly until Mim shooed them away. Then they'd creep back, giggling. That first evening, we sat outside as the sun set, drinking Lau Cow local whiskey that tasted like it could strip paint. The men passed the bottle around, toasting me repeatedly. "Chokdi, Chokdi, good luck." They spoke zero English. I spoke maybe 10 words of Thai, but somehow through Mim's translation and a lot of gesturing, we communicated. They asked about America, about Portland, about my bakery. They seemed genuinely interested, genuinely welcoming. Her father showed me the silk weaving operation the next morning. Old wooden looms under the house in the shade. Beautiful traditional patterns, intricate work. He demonstrated the process, his hands moving with practiced skill even though Mim had said his eyesight was failing. The silk thread was dyed with natural colors. Indigo from plants, reds from tree bark, browns from mud. It was exactly the kind of traditional craft I'd appreciated in Portland. Authentic, real, dying out because young people didn't want to do the work. The Songkran celebrations were incredible. The whole village turned into a water fight. Kids with water guns, adults with buckets, everyone soaking everyone else. We went to the temple, made merit, listened to monks chanting. Communal meals where the whole village ate together. I'd never experienced anything like it, this sense of community, of belonging to something bigger than yourself. On the third day, sitting under the house where it was cooler, Mem brought it up. "Clyde, I need to tell you something." She looked embarrassed. "What's wrong?" "My father. His eye's very bad, cannot see good anymore, cannot work on loom. He needs surgery, cataract surgery." I looked over at him. He was sitting with some uncles, playing cards, squinting at his hand. Now that she mentioned it, yeah, his eyes looked cloudy. Milky. "The hospitals say 60,000 baht, Mim continued. "About 2,000. We trying to save money, but is difficult, textile sales not good. And also my brother," she gestured at the broken motorcycle under the house. "His motorcycle need fix. Engine problem. He cannot work without it. The repair shop say 35,000 baht. I looked at the motorcycle. It did look broken down, tires flat, rust on the frame, definitely not running. "The family too proud to ask," Mim said quietly. "But I worry about them. My father, he getting old. If he cannot see, cannot work, cannot help family. And my brother, he have wife and 2 kids. Motorcycle taxi is how we make money." These weren't abstract problems. I could see the cloudy eyes. I could see the broken motorcycle. This wasn't a sick buffalo story. This was real family need right in front of me. "How much total?" I asked. 95,000 baht. About 3,200. She was looking at the ground. "I know is a lot. I'm sorry to even mention." "I'll help," I said. Her head snapped up. "What? I'll help? They're your family. You've been so good to me. Let me do this." "Clyde, no, is too much. It's not too much. It's what family does, right? You said I'm part of your family now, so let me help my family." She started crying, grabbed my hand, pressed it to her forehead in this gesture of deep gratitude I'd never seen before. "You too good, too kind. I cannot believe." That night at dinner, she told her parents. I didn't understand the words, but I understood the reaction. Her father stood up, came over, grabbed both my hands. Her mother was crying, the grandmother was beaming. The whole family was thanking me, weighing me, treating me like I'd just saved their lives. Her brother was more reserved. He shook my hand, said something in Thai that Min translated as, "Thank you, brother." But he seemed almost uncomfortable with it. Shy, maybe, or proud. I couldn't tell. The uncles toasted me repeatedly that night, more lao khao than I should have drunk. They were singing Thai songs, trying to teach me the words, laughing when I butchered the pronunciation. I was drunk and happy and felt more connected to these people I'd known for 3 days than I'd felt to anyone in years. The next morning, nursing a hangover, I transferred 95,000 baht from my US account to Mim's Thai account, watched my savings drop from 37,200 to about 34,000. Still fine. Still comfortable. And this was real. This was helping people who needed it. Mim showed her father the transfer confirmation on her phone. He got emotional again, came over and hugged me, which seemed to be a big deal because Mim said, Thai men don't usually show that kind of physical affection. The mother made me a special breakfast. The grandmother gave me a blessed amulet from the temple. "They say you are family now," Mim told me, her eyes shining. "Real family, not just words, you part of our family." I'd never felt more welcomed in my life, more valued, more like I belonged somewhere. Looking back now, I can see the choreography. The timing of bringing up the money on day 3, after I'd been fully welcomed and emotionally invested. The way it was framed as embarrassing to mention, to make it seem like it wasn't planned. The perfect amount significant enough to matter, not so large I'd refuse. The whole family's gratitude that made refusing impossible. But in that moment, standing in a rural Thai village, surrounded by people who were treating me like family, I just felt grateful. Grateful to be needed. Grateful to have a purpose again. Grateful that my money could actually help real people, instead of disappearing into some tech startup black hole. We stayed 2 more days. I never saw her brother ride the motorcycle. When I asked about it, Mim said he was embarrassed to use it in front of me before it was properly fixed, that he was taking it to the shop when we left. It made sense. Thai people were all about face, about not wanting to seem ungrateful or presumptuous. I never saw documentation for the father's cataract surgery either. Mim said they were waiting to schedule it at the hospital, that the local hospital was always backed up. That made sense too. What I did see was the family's warmth, the way they included me in every meal, every activity. The way the kids started calling me Uncle Clyde even though they didn't speak English. The way her father showed me, with patience and pride, how to work the silk loom. On the bus ride back to Chiang Mai, Mim held my hand the whole way. "Thank you," she kept saying. "You saved my family. You were best man I ever meet." I felt like a hero. Like maybe losing everything in Portland had led me to a place where I could actually make a difference. Where my money mattered. Where I mattered. I'd given $4,000 total now. I had about $34,000 left in savings. My pension covered my living expenses. The math was fine. I was fine. I was building a family, a real life. A future that felt solid and real and full of purpose. The village visit would become my proof, in the coming months, that this was all genuine. Whenever doubt crept in, I met her parents. I met the whole family. I saw the broken motorcycle with my own eyes. I saw her father's cloudy eyes. How could that be fake? But I never asked myself the right question. Why didn't her father's eyes get any clearer in the months that followed? Why didn't I ever see her brother on that fixed motorcycle? I didn't ask because I didn't want to know. I wanted to believe I'd finally found what I'd been missing. And they knew exactly how much that belief was worth. Back in Chiang Mai, I extended my visa, went to immigration, paid the fees, got another 60 days. I was settling into a rhythm. 4 months in Thailand now, and I'd given Mim about $4,000 total. My spending was running higher than planned, about $1,800 a month between rent, food, and helping Mim, but still manageable. I had roughly $34,000 left in savings. My pension covered most of my basic expenses. Mim and I were talking about the future. Maybe I could help her expand the textile business. Maybe we'd split time between Chiang Mai and the village. She mentioned maybe applying for a marriage visa eventually, which made my heart race in a good way. I was building something again. Not a bakery, but a life. That's when she introduced me to Noi. "My cousin," Mim said one evening. "She coming to Chiang Mai for work. I want you to meet her." We met at a restaurant near the night bazaar. Noi was younger, maybe 26, with that kind of beauty that makes people turn their heads. Long hair, nice dress, confident in a way that felt different from Mim's quiet warmth. She spoke good English, better than Mim's, with less of an accent. "Recently divorced," Mim explained, "from very bad man. He hit her, she escaped from him, moved to Chiang Mai for fresh start." Noi smiled shyly. "He was not good, man, but I'm okay now. I work at salon, doing hair." I felt protective of her immediately. This young woman who'd been through something terrible, trying to rebuild. We all know what that feels like, right? Starting over. The three of us started hanging out regularly. Dinners at street food stalls, movies at the mall. Walking through the Sunday market together. Noi was funny, bubbly, full of energy. She'd tease me about my Thai pronunciation, laugh at my jokes, make me feel younger than 61. Mim seemed completely comfortable with it. Encouraged it, even. "Noi need friends," she'd say. "She lonely here. I'm happy you two get along." I told myself it was innocent. Just 3 people who enjoyed each other's company. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't notice the way Noi looked at me sometimes. The way she'd touch my arm when she laughed. The way she seemed to light up when I walked into a room. About 2 weeks after meeting Noi, Mim had to go to Bangkok. Her daughter needed help with some housing issue at university. Something about a deposit for a new apartment. She'd be gone for 4 or 5 days. The second night she was gone, Noi messaged me online. "I'm bored. You want to get drinks?" I should have said no. I should have seen where this was going. But I was lonely with Mim gone, and Noi's attention felt good. We met at a rooftop bar overlooking the old city. Noi wore a dress I hadn't seen before, tight, showing her figure in a way that made me very aware I was having drinks with a beautiful woman half my age. The sun was setting, turning the sky orange and pink behind the temples. "You know what I like about you, Clyde," she said after we'd had a couple of Chang beers. "You not like Thai men. You listen, you kind, you treat women with respect." Her hand was on my arm. The setting sun made her skin glow. I was 61 years old, and a beautiful 26-year-old woman was looking at me like I mattered. "I want to tell you something," she said. "I have dream. I want to open my own salon, small place, just me and maybe one other stylist. I'm good at hair, very good. I have clients who ask for me, but working for someone else, I make nothing. All the money go to owner." "That makes sense," I said. "Having your own business is hard but rewarding. I ran my own place for 35 years. "Yes, this is why I want to talk to you. You understand business." She moved closer. "I find perfect space. Small shop on Neiman Haman near your apartment. Good location. But I need money for lease and equipment. Chairs, mirrors, washing station. The owner want 180,000 bought for 6-month lease plus security deposit." That was about 5,500. A significant chunk of money. "I've been saving," Noi continued, "but I only have 50,000 bought. My family cannot help. Mim already helped her parents, her daughter. I cannot ask her." She looked at me. Her hand moved from my arm to my knee under the table. I know it's crazy to ask. We just meet. But Mim say you have good heart. She say you understand about building something. And I think maybe you and me, we can be partners, business partners. When salon make money, I pay you back, with interest. The rational part of my brain was screaming warnings. This was exactly the kind of thing the forums talked about. But the lonely part of my brain, the part that had been dormant for so long, was louder. This wasn't like giving money to Mim's family. This was an investment, a business opportunity. I'd run a successful bakery for 35 years. I understood small business. I could help Noi build something real, like I'd built something real in Portland. And if I'm being completely honest with myself, which is the only way to tell this story, I was flattered. This beautiful young woman wanted my help, my expertise, my partnership. Let me think about it, I said. She smiled, squeezed my knee. Of course, no pressure. I trust you, Clyde. Mim say you are a good man, and I see is true. We had another beer. Then another. The sun set completely. The city lights came on, and I was feeling good. Better than good. Alive. The way Noi looked at me, laughed at my stories about the bakery, touched my hand when she made a point, I felt like I was 35 again, not 61. You want to see the space? She asked. The salon space? It's close to here. We walked to Nimmenhamen. The street was busy with tourists and young Thais, bars and restaurants glowing neon. Noi pointed to a small shop front. There. That one. Perfect size, yes? It looked good. Nice location. Windows onto the street. I could picture it as a salon. The owner, he need answer soon, Noi said. Other people want to rent, but I want it so much. She leaned against me. I think maybe we celebrate? I have apartment near here. I knew what was happening. I knew exactly what was happening. But I was drunk and lonely, and this beautiful woman was pressed against me, and I'd been faithful to Mim, but were we really committed? We'd never actually defined a relationship. And Noi was her cousin. It was all family. Maybe this was okay in Thai culture. Maybe I'm not going to give myself excuses. I slept with Noi that night. Her apartment was small but nice. We had sex, and it felt desperate and exciting and wrong and amazing all at once. Afterward, she curled up against me. I think we will be good partners, she said. In business and maybe other things. I gave her the 180,000 baht the next day, transferred it from my savings to her account. Watched my balance drop from 34,000 to about 28,500. Still okay. Still manageable. And this was different from helping Mim's family. This was an investment, a business partnership. I'd get it back when the salon started making money. Noi kissed me gratefully. You won't regret this. I work so hard. I make salon the best in Chiang Mai. You will see. When Mim came back from Bangkok 2 days later, Noi had already told her about the salon investment. Not about the sex, I assumed. Mim's reaction surprised me. She wasn't angry. She was hurt. Noi is family, she said quietly. I'm happy you help her. But I thought you and me, we were building trust, building future together. I felt terrible. Like I'd betrayed her. Which of course I had. It's just business, I said. I'm helping her start a salon, that's all. Okay, Mim said, but her voice was small. Sad. Over the next week I tried to make it up to her, took her to nice dinners, bought her things. When she mentioned that her parents' house needed repairs, the roof was leaking during rainy season, and they still didn't have running water, I immediately offered to help. The contractor say 150,000 baht for new roof and bathroom with running water, she said, and they need water pump, 25,000 baht. But Clyde, is too much. You already give so much to my family. I want to do this, I said. Your parents have been so good to me. Let me help. She cried and hugged me, and I felt like I'd repaired things between us. The truth was, I felt guilty about Noi. The money was a way to assuage that guilt. I transferred 175,000 baht. About 5,200. My savings dropped to around 23,000. For the first time, I felt a flutter of nervousness. I'd spent over half my savings in 4 months, but I pushed it down. This was all good spending, helping family, building a business, investments that would pay off. Then Mim's grandmother had a health emergency, needed to be hospitalized. The bill was 80,000 baht, about 2,400. Mim was frantic. I paid it. 20,600 left in savings now. Still had my pension. Still okay. Meanwhile, Noi's salon kept hitting delays. The landlord wanted more documentation. Then there were permit issues. Apparently you needed special permits for a salon in that location. Then the space needed renovations before it could be used. I need another 20,000 baht for permits, Noi said. I gave it to her. Another 30,000 for renovations. The electrical not good, need to be fixed for safety. I gave it to her. Each time she was apologetic, grateful, affectionate. We kept sleeping together, always when Mim was busy with something else. It felt increasingly wrong, but I couldn't stop. When you're 61 and a beautiful 26-year-old wants you, you don't say no. Or at least, I didn't. 6 months into Thailand, I'd spent about 24,000 total. I had roughly 18,000 left in savings. My pension covered my basic living expenses, but I wasn't adding to savings anymore. I was drawing down. The math was starting to scare me, but I told myself it was fine. Noe's salon would open soon. When it started making money, she'd pay me back. Mim's parents' house would be fixed. The grandmother would recover. The father would get his cataract surgery. Everything would stabilize, and I'd stop needing to give money, and we'd just be a family. That's what I told myself. But there were things I was choosing not to see. Like the fact that I'd never actually visited Mim's brother to see the repaired motorcycle. Every time I suggested it, there was an excuse. He was working. He was out of town. He was shy around Faring and didn't want to bother me. Thai cultural thing, Mim explained. Or the fact that Noe's salon location kept changing. First it was on Nimmenhamen, then it was on a different street. Better location, more foot traffic. Then it moved again. Landlord found problem with building. We find new space. When I asked to see the new location, she always had a reason why now wasn't a good time. Under construction, landlord there doing work. Better to wait until it's finished so I could see it properly. Or the fact that sometimes, when Mim and Noe thought I wasn't looking, I'd catch them exchanging glances. Little smiles that didn't include me, like they were sharing a private joke. But I pushed these observations down. Late at night, I'd find myself on those expat forums I'd read before coming to Thailand, reading stories that sounded eerily familiar. The cousin who needed money, the family emergencies, the business that never quite opened, the warning signs ignored. I'd tell myself those guys were bitter, paranoid. Not every Thai woman was running a scam. Mim was genuine. I'd met her whole family. I'd seen her father's cloudy eyes, her brother's broken motorcycle. That was real. And Noe, she was just a young woman who'd been through hell with an abusive husband and was trying to build something. The delays were real delays. Permits in Thailand were complicated. I'd read that online. The bureaucracy was intense. I wasn't like those bitter expats. I was different. My situation was different. That's what I told myself every time the doubt crept in. But the money kept flowing out, and my savings kept dropping. And something in the back of my mind was starting to whisper that maybe, just maybe, I'd been wrong about everything. I just wasn't ready to listen yet. It happened in month 7. My pension deposit was late. Some banking issue back in the States, they said it would clear in a week. Nothing to worry about. But my Thailand bank account was sitting at about 3,000 baht, maybe 90. I'd been spending faster than my pension came in, topping up with transfers from my US savings account. For the first time since arriving in Thailand, I felt genuinely scared. I'd given away over 20,000 in 6 months. I had roughly 18,000 left in savings. At my current burn rate, even with my pension, I had maybe a year before I was completely broke. And then what? Teaching English for 900 a month? Living in some roach-infested room? Begging the bakery's new owners for my old job back? Min messaged me that afternoon. Her nephew needed school supplies, 500 baht, about 150. I stared at the line message for a long time. Can we wait a week? I typed back. My pension is delayed. I'm a bit tight right now. The response came 20 minutes later. Just 2 words. Okay nah. But something was different. The warmth was gone. That evening she canceled our dinner plans. Said she wasn't feeling well. The next day she barely responded to my messages. When she did, it was short. Cold. Is everything okay? I asked when we finally met for coffee 3 days later. Fine, she said, but she wouldn't look at me. Did I do something wrong? She sighed. I thought you cared about my family, Clyde. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you just care when is easy. That cut deep. That's not fair. I stopped myself. You don't keep score with family. That's what she'd always said. Never mind, she said. Is okay. I understand. You have your own life. The guilt was overwhelming. Here I was, worried about my savings while her nephew needed school supplies. What kind of person had I become? Noe went cold too. When I messaged her asking about the salon progress, her responses were vague. Very busy. We'll update soon. When I asked to meet up, she was always unavailable. The paranoia I'd been suppressing erupted like a volcano. I started checking the salon address. Noe had given me the latest one, the 3rd location. I took a tuk-tuk there one afternoon. Found the building. It was a massage parlor, not under construction, not being renovated. An operating business that looked like it had been there for years. Women in the windows, neon lights, the works. I stood there on the sidewalk, sweating in the heat, staring at it. I messaged Noe. I'm at the salon address you gave me. This is a massage parlor. Her response came an hour later. Oh, sorry, location change again. I forget to tell you. New landlord, better deal. I send you new address. She sent me a different address. I didn't go. I knew what I'd find. Another established business. Another excuse. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my studio apartment, the one I could barely afford anymore, and went through every interaction with Mim and Noi. Every request for money. Every excuse for why things hadn't happened yet. The brother's motorcycle I'd never seen running, the father's eyes that never got clearer. The house renovations that were never mentioned again. The salon that kept moving, kept needing more money, never opened. The looks between Mim and Noi when they thought I wasn't watching. I was on those expat forums at 3 a.m., reading stories identical to mine, word for word. The village visit. The grateful family. The cousin who needed business capital. The escalating requests. The coldness when the money slowed. At 6 a.m., I made a decision. I found a translator service online, hired a woman named Pim for 2,000 baht to accompany me somewhere. Didn't tell her where or why. Just asked if she could translate Thai to English for a few hours. We took a bus to Mim's village. 6 hours, same route I'd taken for Songkran, but this time, I didn't tell anyone I was coming. We arrived mid-morning. The village looked exactly the same. Chickens in the road. Kids playing. The smell of cooking fires and rice paddies. Mim's family house stood on its stilts, weathered wood, corrugated metal roof. The same roof I'd paid to replace. Still leaking, still rusty. Her father was outside under the house, sitting with some other old men playing cards. I approached slowly, Pim beside me. His eyes were clear, sharp, focused intently on his cards. No cloudiness, no cataracts. He looked up when he saw me, surprise flashing across his face. Recognized me immediately. Said something in Thai. He says hello, Pim translated. Asks why you're here. I looked at the house. Same old wood, no new bathroom, no running water. I could see them still using the outdoor pump. The water pump I'd supposedly paid for was nowhere to be seen. Under the house, that motorcycle was still there. Still on flat tires, still rusting, still very much broken. Ask him, I said to Pim, my voice shaking. Ask him about his eye surgery. How did it go? Pim translated. The father looked confused, responded in Thai. He says he doesn't understand, Pim translated. What surgery? I walked away. Pim followed. I found a woman who'd been at the Songkran celebration, a neighbor I vaguely remembered. Asked Pim to talk to her. They spoke in rapid Thai for a few minutes. The woman kept glancing at me, her expression shifting from friendly to uncomfortable. What's she saying? I asked. Pim looked reluctant. You sure you want to know? Yes, she says. She says Porn and her cousin Noi, they bring Farang here sometimes. Different men. To meet the family. The family is kind to the men, welcoming, but, she says, everyone in the village knows. It's how they make money. The Farang help the family, give money, and Porn and Noi share it. My stomach dropped through the floor. She says there've been maybe 5 or 6 Farang in the past few years. You're not the first. Probably won't be the last. I couldn't breathe. The village suddenly felt like it was closing in on me. All those warm smiles. The grandmother filling my plate. The uncles toasting me. The kids calling me Uncle Clyde. Choreographed. All of it. I thanked the neighbor through Pim. Got back on the bus to Chiang Mai. 6 hours of staring out the window at rice paddies. My mind completely blank. When I got back to my apartment, I opened my laptop and checked my US bank account. 12,500 remaining. I'd arrived in Thailand 7 months ago with 42,000. I'd spent 23,000, over half my life savings. Gone. I tried to message Mim online, blocked. The little message wouldn't go through. I tried Noi. Also blocked. They were done with me. I'd run dry. I sat on my bed in that tiny studio and did the math. 18,500 in savings. .7 1,400 ad-month pension. If I spent very carefully, like 1,000 months total, I could last maybe another 18 months before I was completely broke. A flight back to Portland was 1,200. But even if I could afford it, what would I go back to? My old apartment was rented to someone else. The bakery was sold. I had no job prospects at 61. Portland's rent would eat through my remaining savings in 6 months. I was trapped. Trapped in Thailand with barely enough money to survive. Trapped by my own stupidity and desperation and trust. The trust that had made me a good baker, believing in the process, in people, had destroyed me. I thought about those bitter men on the forums I'd dismissed. They'd been right. They'd been trying to warn people like me, and I thought I was different, that Mim was different, that I was too smart to fall for the sick buffalo story, but I'd fallen for something much more sophisticated. The village visit, the whole family performing for me. The cousin who made me feel young and virile and needed. The escalating emergencies that were always just believable enough. The guilt tripping when I hesitated. I was the sick buffalo. I was the walking ATM. I was the mark. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, wasn't the money. It was that for 6 months I believed I'd found family, belonging, purpose, love even, and it had all been a performance. A recipe they'd perfected on 5 or 6 men before me, the village warmth, the grateful tears, the cousin's seduction, the looks of hurt when I hesitated to give more. Ingredients in a recipe designed to extract as much money as possible from a lonely 61-year-old man who just wanted to matter to someone again. And I'd been the flour, the main ingredient, the thing they used up until there was nothing left. I spent that night on the floor of my apartment, not crying, not angry, just empty, completely hollowed out. By morning, I'd made some decisions. I couldn't go back to Portland. I couldn't afford it. I had to stay in Thailand and survive on as little as possible, which meant finding work. I found a language school that would hire me to teach basic English conversation, no TEFL certificate required, just a native speaker willing to work for 30,000 baht a month. About 900. Barely minimum wage by Thai standards. I moved out of my apartment on Nimmenhamen, found a cheaper place for 7,000 baht a month, about 220. It was in an old building full of aging expats who all had similar stories. Small room, shared bathroom down the hall, no air conditioning, just a fan. My life became teaching English to bored university students and living on as little as possible. Rice and eggs. Street food. No more nice dinners. No more rooftop bars. I was surviving, barely. And every night, I'd lie in that hot little room with the fan blowing and think about Mim and Noi living their lives, probably already working on the next lonely farang with money. I'd destroyed my life twice. Once with Derek and the tech startup, once with Mim and her family. Both times, I'd trusted when I shouldn't have. And now I was 61 years old, stuck in Thailand, teaching English for poverty wages, with no way home and no way forward. The dream had become a nightmare. And I had no one to blame but myself. I'd been here almost a year now, teaching English at that language school, barely scraping by. Living in that cheap room with the shared bathroom and the fan that sounds like it's going to die any day. The other expats in my building, we don't talk much. But when we do, I hear the same story over and over. Different details, same ending. A guy from Manchester who funded his girlfriend's internet cafe that never existed. An Australian who built a house in his Thai wife's name, then got kicked out when a brother moved in. A German who invested in a bar that turned out to already be owned by someone else. We're all stuck. All teaching English or doing visa runs, or living on whatever pension we have. All too broke to go home. All too ashamed to admit what happened. I spend my weekends in my room, mostly. It's too hot to do much else. Sometimes I walk through the Sunday market, the same one where I met Mim. I never see her there anymore. I don't know if she's still in Chiang Mai or back in the village, working on the next guy. I think about the bakery a lot, about Mrs. Chen and her olive rosemary loaf, about the Johnston family and their Saturday cinnamon rolls, about 4 a.m. starts when the world was quiet and it was just me and the dough. I spent my whole life trusting the rise. You mix the ingredients right, give the dough time, and it rises. That's how the world worked in my bakery. You could see it, measure it, depend on it. Flour, water, salt, time. The process never lied. But I learned too late that people aren't sourdough starters. In Thailand, especially when you're a lonely older guy with money, some people see you as ingredients too. Something to use up. Something to extract value from until there's nothing left. The village visit, the family warmth, even the cousin, it was all one recipe. And I was the flour. They knew exactly how much I could give before I ran out. I think about Mim sometimes and wonder if any of it was real. The conversations about natural dyes and traditional weaving, the cooking lessons in her apartment, the way she laughed when I mispronounced Thai words. Was any of that genuine, or was I being assessed from the first moment, evaluated for how much I could give? I'll never know, and maybe that's the worst part. Late at night, when I can't sleep because of the heat, I do the math over and over. I have about 15,000 left now. My pension covers most of my survival costs. If I'm very careful, I can probably stay here indefinitely, teaching English until I'm too old to stand in front of a classroom, growing old in this building full of men with the same sad story. Sometimes I think about writing to the bakery's new owners, asking if they need help, offering to work for cheap just to come home. But I can't afford the flight. And even if I could, what would I tell them? That I lost everything twice. That I'm a 61-year-old man who can't be trusted with his own money? The shame is worse than the poverty. I've become exactly what I pitied. One of those bitter expats on the forums, warning other men. Except I don't post warnings. What's the point? The guys who need to hear it won't believe it. They'll think they're different, that their situation is different, that their Thai girlfriend is different. Just like I did, the trust that made me a good baker destroyed me as a man. In the bakery, trust worked. Trust the flour, trust the process, trust the rise. But people aren't bred. And Thailand isn't Portland. I learned that lesson 24,000 too late. That's my story. I came to Thailand looking for a fresh start, for peace, for a place I could afford to breathe. What I found was a well-practiced operation designed to separate lonely men from their money, and I walked right into it, smiling, grateful, believing I was finally building something real. I wasn't building anything. I was being harvested. And now I'm stuck here, teaching English to teenagers who don't care, living in a room that's barely bigger than a closet, watching my savings slowly drain toward zero. This is my retirement. This is what trust got me. If you're watching this and thinking about Thailand, about finding love or family or a new start, go. It's a beautiful country. There are genuine people here, real relationships, success stories. But if you find yourself funding emergency after emergency, if the requests never stop, if family members you've helped never seem to improve their situation, if there's always another crisis, another need, another reason why you need to give more, pause. Ask questions. Verify. Hire a translator and show up unannounced. Check that the salon exists. See the repaired motorcycle. Get documentation for the surgery. Do what I didn't do, because the cost of being wrong isn't just money. It's your ability to trust again. It's your future. It's everything. I spent 35 years building something I was proud of. I was good at what I did. People knew me. I knew them. I mattered. I mattered. Now I'm nobody again. Just another old Farang teaching English in Thailand because he has nowhere else to go. Don't be me. That's my story. That's my warning. Make of it what you will. Clyde's voice fades, and we return to the host. Stories like Clyde's are more common than you might think. The pattern is recognizable once you know what to look for. A Western man, often older, often lonely, often with some money but not wealthy. A Thai woman who seems different from the stereotypes. She's not a bar girl. She has a job, a family, real problems. The relationship develops naturally. Trust builds. Then come the requests. Small at first. Reasonable. Family emergencies that seem legitimate. The village visit is particularly effective. Meeting the family, being welcomed, seeing the problems with your own eyes, it makes everything feel real. How can it be a scam when you've met the parents, eaten with the uncles, played with the kids? But what Clyde didn't know, what many men in his position don't know, is that some families and women work as teams. The village visit is choreographed. The emergencies are fabricated. The cousin is part of the operation. It's a well-practiced system that's been refined over multiple men, sometimes over years. Not all Thai women are scammers, not even most. There are thousands of successful, genuine relationships between Western men and Thai women. People who build real lives together, real families, real partnerships. But vulnerability plus money creates opportunity. And some people are very, very good at identifying and exploiting that vulnerability. The signs Clyde missed, the requests that never stopped, the improvements that never materialized, the business that kept moving and needing more money, the coldness the moment he couldn't pay, the fact that he was blocked the instant he ran dry. If you're considering Thailand, go. It's an incredible country with wonderful people and rich culture, but go with your eyes open. If you find yourself funding emergency after emergency, if the requests escalate, if you're being asked to invest in businesses you can't verify, if family members you've helped never seem any better off, stop. Pause. Ask hard questions. Verify the surgery. See the business location. Get documentation, hire a translator, and show up unannounced. Protect yourself. Because nobody else will. The cost of being wrong isn't just the money you lose, it's your ability to trust, your dignity, your future. Sometimes, like Clyde, it's your way home. This is Thailand, where dreams come to retire, and sometimes they die. Until next time, take care of yourselves.